And the Mama General on the yourself. Leha, as our military, they say they be military, say they went in now. All
firemen are good to go.
All go now today. All go now today. That was 13th November. That 13th November. That.
Nah, happening now. No, kwa kita kama ikualanka wako kita. Now, just now. Nah, as kwa ni here like kote zina kipa za biko.
That's under it. Level. Na hamlo. Level. Mucho gana kwa nego. Okay. Nah, hapun dah mana ye meligo ha. Kan just awon chihan we busi o ha. Da beli. E busi o ha da blood e blood je. E ka blood je everywhere le blood. Blood. Ah, ma ta ka na lo sin na 20 ya bu ye. Ya bu ya lo si ba lo si ade na bi. Ai lo si je ya ko li ko. Ya bu ya iwe na lo ma ji sin na. Ah, bo du wo to. Ai ka ji e ka ko na de han la eh. Mo chuku. Cha. E ba ga aya ka ya lebu. Ka o mi he ke ya bu ye chen do. Ani ko na bre chro bi ma. Ani wa. Ela blood.
In a recent video widely shared across social media, a tragic incident in the southeastern state of Imo and Abia unfolded, leaving many Nigerian soldiers dead after an attack at a military checkpoint. This attack, reportedly carried out by Biafra Liberation Forces, has raised serious questions about safety and military presence in the region, as well as broader concerns about trust in the Nigerian security forces, which many believe can lie for Africa. Now, according to the Nigerian Army's official statement, they lost 2 soldiers during the assault, but claimed they managed to repel the attackers, forcing them to abandon their vehicles and flee. The Nigerian Army reported that the attackers left behind a Sienna and a Lexus Jeep at the scene. According to the Nigerian military source, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, said the attack occurred around 6:18 a.m. The gunmen arrived in a white Lexus, although the exact number of attackers could not be confirmed. While confirming the incident in a press release on Wednesday, Lieutenant Colonel Jonah Onoakalo of the Joint Task Force Southeast Operation Udoka said, in the early hours of today, 13 November 2024, troops of the Joint Task Force Southeast Operation Udoka deployed at a checkpoint along the Umuahia-Owerri Road in Umuahia South Local Government Area of Abia State came under attack by the Biafra Liberation Forces. During the attack, the Nigerian troops were able to repel the assaults, forcing the attackers to retreat in disarray with gunshot wounds, abandoning one Sienna and one Lexus Jeep used in the attack. However, in the ensuing firefight, 2 soldiers paid the supreme price of death, he stated. However, Videos circulating on social media appear to tell a different story, one that suggests the soldiers were in fact overwhelmed by the Biafra Liberation Forces, and many Nigerian soldiers were killed and several others arrested by the Biafra Liberation Forces with their guns, ammunition, military uniform, and jungle boot seized. In some of the videos, we see distressing images of the aftermaths, abandoned boots, military uniforms scattered on the ground, and burnt-out vehicles. While the army insists they regain control, critics argue that these visuals paint a bleak picture of just how intense the attack was. People in nearby communities fear that rather than stopping the Biafra Liberation Forces, the Nigerian military might retaliate against innocent civilians in surrounding areas, mistaking them for attackers. Amid this uncertainty, locals are facing a harsh reality. It is not just about Biafra Liberation Forces versus Nigerian soldiers. It is a daily struggle to survive in a tense environment. Military checkpoints once meant to protect are seen by some as hotspots for extortion rather than safety. The public's confidence in the Nigerian security forces is deeply shaken, with accusations that they often prioritize bribes over genuine security. The video also speaks to a broader problem, a fraction in the bond between the people and those tasked with defending them. The Southeast region has become a complex landscape where the fear of gunmen meets the distrust of security forces. Citizens face a choice between feeling vulnerable to attacks from gunmen or fearing harsh retaliations from the very authorities meant to protect them. In this layered story of loss, fear, and distrust, people are left wondering who will stand with them, while some cling to the hope of a peaceful Nigeria. Others argue that the nation is on a path that feels increasingly broken. For many in these communities, surviving each day means avoiding checkpoints, keeping a low profile, and hoping that peace might one day return to a region that is seeing too much strife. The Biafra Liberation Army, under the Biafra Republic government in exile, is established in defense of Biafra from the Nigerian government and to enforce the defense of the territories of the United States of Biafra. On November 13, 2024, in Nigeria's southeast, specifically around the Imo Abia Owerri Road in Abia State, the Nigerian soldiers are at their usual spot, manning a checkpoint. It is the crack of dawn, and everything seems routine. The soldiers stationed there have probably been up since before sunrise, keeping watch, waiting for the day to begin. They know their duty and they know the risk. In the past, checkpoints like this were supposed to mean safety. They were intended to protect the people, to keep the peace, and to monitor the area. But over time, locals have begun to feel indifferently about them. For many, these checkpoints have turned into places to avoid, places where people say bribes are more common than real protection. Some people feel like the soldiers stationed there don't always have their best interests at heart. They are worried, careful not to draw attention, hoping that today won't be the day something terrible happens. But on this day, something did. Out of the quiet morning, there is a burst of gunfire. People nearby probably didn't know what was happening at first. Just a loud, sharp noise cutting through the silence. The attackers reportedly from the Biafra Liberation Forces, approached the soldiers, catching them by surprise. The fight that followed was intense and brutal. The soldiers found themselves in a fierce gun battle, trying to hold their position and push back against their attackers. This wasn't just a small, chaotic clash, it felt organized, like the attackers knew what they were doing. They reportedly arrived in a white Lexus, which added an airy sense of planning to the assault. Witnesses say the scene turned into complete chaos. Gunshots echoed through the area, and the soldiers fought back as they could. There was a lot of fear, a lot of confusion, a lot of fear gripped everyone. Imagine being in a small village or in the edge of a town, hearing those gunshots and not knowing what is going on, fearing for your life. Shortly after the incident, the Nigerian army released an official statement. According to them, only 2 soldiers had been killed in the attack, though they admitted it had been a close call. The Nigerian army said they managed to fend off the attackers, forcing them to abandon 2 vehicles, a Sienna and a Lexus Jeep, before they fled. The statement was calm, almost routine, as if they wanted to reassure everyone that the situation was under control. Lieutenant Colonel Jonal Onakalu, speaking on behalf of the Joint Task Force Southeast Operation Udoka, put out a press release confirming that yes, an attack had taken place, but the Nigerian army had successfully defended their position. According to Lieutenant Colonel Onoakalu, the attackers fled in disarray, injured and without a clear sense of direction, supposedly abandoning their cars and disappearing into the morning mist. But here is where things started to get confusing. Shortly after the Nigerian Army's official statement, videos began circulating on social media showing the aftermath of the attack in a much more brutal light. In these videos, you could see the scene left behind: soldiers' boots and uniforms strewn across the ground, abandoned in a hurry. Some of the vehicles had been set on fire and were nothing more than shed wreck by the time the videos were filmed. People watching the videos started questioning the Nigerian army story. If the Nigerian soldiers had indeed driven off the attackers as they claim, why did the scene look so chaotic? Why were the Nigerian soldiers' belongings scattered everywhere? Why did the videos show what seemed like an overwhelming attack, leaving not only 2 soldiers dead, but multiple soldiers dead? In some parts of the videos, you could even see the Biafra Liberation Forces seizing weapons, ammunition, and even some of the uniforms and boots the Nigerian soldiers have left behind. The way these videos were spreading and the disturbing images they showed made people question, was the Nigerian army really in control here, or had they been outmatched in a way they weren't ready to admit? Now, imagine being someone living near that checkpoint, someone who had to pass through soldiers on your way to work or school. The attack sent a wave of fear through the surrounding villages. It is one thing to hear about clashes between the Biafra Liberation Forces and the Nigerian military on the news. It is another thing entirely to see it unfold practically in your backyard. People in nearby communities are scared. They are worried that the Nigerian army, in frustration or desperation, might turn on them, mistaking innocent locals for members of the Biafra Liberation Forces. This isn't a far-fetched fear. Over the years, there have been stories of civilians getting caught in the crossfire, sometimes targeted by mistake, sometimes as collateral damage, and in this part of Nigeria, mistrust between civilians and the Nigerian military runs deep. For many locals, the presence of the Nigerian soldiers isn't reassuring. It feels oppressive. Many people believe that these checkpoints are less about keeping the area safe and more about maintaining control over a region where sentiment for Biafra, a call for independence, is strong. They feel like they are being watched, scrutinized, and at times exploited. Stories of extortion are common. People passing through checkpoints often complain that soldiers demand money, that bribes are expected, and that anyone who refuses to give them money is treated poorly. In the eyes of many civilians, these Nigerian soldiers don't represent protection. They represent a constant reminder of a government that they feel doesn't respect or care about them. In fact, this lack of trust between the Nigerian military and civilians isn't a new problem. It is a part of a long, painful history. The Southeast has a strong identity, and for many years there has been talk of independence, of the idea that the region should be able to govern itself. The call for a Biafran state has its roots in this feeling of neglect and frustration, and it is a sentiment that is only being fueled by incidents like this one. Let's pause for a moment and talk about who these attackers are. The Biafra Liberation Forces. Who are there? At least, according to what people in the region say about them, the Biafra Liberation Forces are a group that has positioned itself as defenders of the Southeast, specifically the areas they refer to as Biafra. This group claims to fight against what they see as oppressive government, aiming to protect the people of the Southeast from the Nigerian state interference. The Biafra Liberation Forces, backed by the Biafra Republic government in exile, says that they are fighting to secure the territory of the United States of Biafra. In their eyes, they are not just a group of gunmen, they are freedom fighters, a liberation force standing up to the Nigerian government soldiers. This perspective is something many locals feel connected to, even if they don't want to be directly involved in the violence. What we are seeing here is a vicious cycle, a cycle that seems to have no clear end. The Nigerian military increased its presence in the southeast, claiming it is to maintain peace, but in doing so, they end up reinforcing the very distrust that drives people towards groups like the Biafra Liberation Forces. It is a pattern that repeats itself again and again. Many people in the southeast feel caught in the middle, and who could blame them? On one hand, they are the Nigerian soldiers who are supposed to be there to protect them, but who often seem more focused on control rather than safety. On the other hand, they are the groups like the Biafra Liberation Forces who are fighting for their freedom and fighting to protect them. In this situation, civilians are left in an impossible situation, and instead of clinging to the Nigerian army, they decided to cling to the Biafra Liberation Forces because they believe the Biafra Liberation Forces are fighting for them. For the people in Imo State and Abia State, life has become a constant balancing act. Parents are scared to let their kids out to play. Neighbors warn each other to stay indoors if there is even a hint of military activity nearby, and people try to avoid areas where soldiers are stationed altogether. It is not a sustainable way to live, but for now, it is the only way they know how to stay safe. Mazi Simon Ekpa has already warned Biafrans in the southeast to stay away from military barracks, especially Nigerian military barracks, Nigerian police stations, and any Nigerian security office, that Biafrans should stay far away from there because the Biafra Liberation Force can attack those places anytime. So for their own safety, they should stay far away from any Nigerian barrack. They should stay far away from any Nigerian military barrack or Nigerian police station for their own safety. Some people have had to alter their daily routines entirely. Imagine changing the route you take to work every day just to avoid a military checkpoint, or leaving your home earlier than usual because you know you might get stopped or questioned. People are living with a constant sense of tension, always on edge, never feeling truly at ease. Incidents like this one raise difficult questions about Nigeria's future and the possibility of peace. Is there a path where the Nigerian government and groups in the southeast can find common ground? Can there be a way for people in regions like Imo and Abia to feel protected without feeling controlled? Some people in the region still hold on to hope, clinging to the idea that Nigeria could become a place where every region, every group, every individual feel respected and valued. But with each violent incident, that hopes fade away. Many locals feel like they are caught in a country that doesn't fully accept them, and they wonder if the call for Biafra is the only way out. I will play the video for you guys to watch and see for yourself.
And the mama general on the yourself. Leha, as our military, they say they be military, say they went in Ruana now.
Firemen are good to go.
Oruana out today. Oruana out today. That was 13th November. That 13th November. That.
Nah, happening now. No, kwa kita ka mo ikwala nke ọkụ kita o. Now, just now kwa. Na askwa ni ihe ala ga-ekwetezi na nke ikpeazụ a biko.
That's under it. Level up. Level up. Level up. Mucho gana con ello. Look here. Nah, hapun dia mana ye meli go ha. Kan just awon chi han we busi o ha. Da beli. E busi o ha da blood, e blood je. E ka blood je every we le blood. Blood. Ah, ma ta ka la lo sin na 20 ya bu ye. Ya bu ya lo si ba lo si de na bi. Ai lo si de ya ko li ko. Ya bu ya iwe na ma ji sin na. Ha bu du wo to. Ai ka ji e ka ko na de han la ha. Mo chuku. Cha. E ba ga aya ka ya le bu. Ka o mi he ki ya bu he chen do. Ha? Ani ko na bre chro bi ma. Ani wa. Ela blood.
We serve, they are just arresting our people. This is an Igbo person, Biafra person. They just arrest. We have rescued him. Take cover. It's not good. They have shoot him. This is Biafra Elite Squad. We are live and direct at Umeka, Abia State, Biafra land. Open this boat. Go everything over here. Now we don't go over them. Now we no be them. Now we no be them. But them too. Bandamato! Now we know be them. Open in our water. Water is the code. Water is the code. Come, Musa this motor fire. Make we set this water fire. Go find way. Go find way. Now we know be them. Water is the code. Water is the code. Water is the code. Look at their bike. We have killed many of them. We are killing many of them. Now we know be them. Now we know be them. Now we know be them. Oh hey Biafra. Oh hey Biafra. Oh hey Biafra. Oh hey Biafra. Whosoever not there. Whosoever not there. Holy holy. Nadekalu. He's another savior. Holy holy holy. Nadekalu. He's another savior. Open up. Enter. Take cover.
Close the boot.
Close that boot.
Enter where you go yourself. Enter where you go. See me. No fear. No fear. Jesus Christ. Jesus, I can't talk about it. But you don't know what for sure. But can you imagine? I got food by force. Now I have what? There's so many no problem. Eh? I have so many no problem. I know she can you imagine? Can you imagine? Eh? I have a loss of by force.
I am get out.
Yeah, honey, I'm not on this.
Okay, my life.
So many no problem. Jesus Christ. I don't know nothing.
Okay, my life.
The people are not the line, Jesus Christ. Let's come on and do not cut me.
Not cut me. For us,
Hey. Check me. What? You should not forgive me.
Pamosa. The Quaba Lobera. Homo Piara here, oh, beautiful. Oh, Cocola, no diary, Banga can she to Guamjilo. You can never hash a prayer. About one cash pro the vagabond. Cabash pro the vagabond an hour. The coach over amateur and I hear. I hash pro the vagabond where one. The back hash pro. I will say if I thought I will not be them even if said that not them, eh? Made that just for the moment to go there, eh? Made that just for the moment. Because you go on how many mobile man I'm not babu how, but how I got a name here. As they put here the collect, or gonna wempa monster.
Nay, I have but I am your babu. Kita, no clear, sharp. Kita.
So when I share this video, make them know how it happen. This one no be omo. See me see wahala. See motor went back there, tipper. Like the tipper start there. How I do? This one no be. Hey. Nsogbu odekwa.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.